Don't try to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. Create your own identity. Those words carry a powerful truth. You are not meant to beg for love, prove your worth, or chase after someone who doesn't see your value. The greatest strength you can ever show in a relationship is not in holding on. It's in walking away when you are no longer respected, appreciated, or valued. When you choose yourself, when you rise above desperation and step into your power, that is when he will feel the real pain of losing you. This isn't about revenge. It's about self-respect. It's about knowing that you are rare, that you are extraordinary, and that losing you is the biggest mistake he will ever make. Priyanka Chopra's life is proof that when you own your worth, the world cannot ignore you. Today, let's talk about how to build that strength, that confidence, and that unshakable energy that makes anyone who loses you regret it for a lifetime. Value is not something you wait for others to give you. It is something you first give yourself. The way you treat yourself sets the standard for how others treat you. If you constantly sacrifice your needs, ignore your worth, and accept less than you deserve, people will begin to believe that is all you are worth. But when you carry yourself with self-respect, when you hold yourself with dignity, when you show the world that you will not settle for anything beneath your true value, you force others to rise to the level of how you see yourself. Priyanka Chopra is a living example of this truth. She did not wait for Hollywood or Bollywood to hand her validation. She did not stand in the background hoping someone would notice her talent. She invested in herself, built her confidence, sharpened her skills, and declared through her actions, "I know my worth." That certainty made the world pay attention. When you show up in life with that kind of energy, people have no choice but to respect you because you have already respected yourself. So many people in relationships give away their value by chasing, begging, or clinging to someone who does not see their true worth. They believe love is proven through suffering, through holding on even when the other person takes them for granted. But love without respect is not love, it is dependency. The moment you choose to respect yourself enough to say, "I deserve better," the entire dynamic shifts. Suddenly the person who once overlooked you begins to realize what they are losing. That realization only comes when you stop undervaluing yourself. Valuing yourself does not mean arrogance. It does not mean you look down on others. It means you recognize your own uniqueness and refuse to discount it. It is about understanding that you bring something to the table that no one else can bring. Your energy, your perspective, your love, your strength. When you know this deeply, you no longer tolerate disrespect. You no longer explain your worth to someone who refuses to see it. You simply carry yourself in a way that commands acknowledgement. The pain of losing you comes not from games or manipulation, but from the undeniable truth that you are rare. Think about it, people only miss what is valuable. They only regret losing what cannot easily be replaced. If you treat yourself like you are easily replaceable, that is exactly how they will treat you. But if you walk through life with the quiet confidence that says, "I am one of a kind and my love is a gift," then losing you becomes a wound that is not easily healed. Valuing yourself also creates inner freedom. You stop living in fear of rejection because you know rejection cannot take away your worth. You stop begging for attention because you know your presence is already powerful. You stop chasing love because you understand that real love will never require you to lose yourself. That freedom makes you magnetic because nothing is more attractive than a person who knows who they are and refuses to settle for less. Priyanka Chopra often speaks about breaking glass ceilings and not fitting into molds that others set for you. That is the essence of valuing yourself, refusing to shrink into someone else's idea of who you should be. You are not here to fit into a small box just to be accepted. You are here to expand, to shine, to stand tall in your own identity. And when you live that way, people either rise to meet your value or they fall away. Either way, you win because you never compromise the way you see yourself. Walking away with dignity is one of the most powerful decisions you can ever make in life, especially when it comes to love and relationships. Too often people believe that fighting harder, holding on tighter, and proving their loyalty will eventually make someone see their worth. But the truth is, the more you beg for love, the less respect you invite. Dignity means knowing when to stop giving your energy to someone who doesn't value it. It means understanding that your silence, your distance, and your decision to step away speaks louder than any words of pleading ever could. Priyanka Chopra's journey is a reflection of this truth. She didn't become who she is by chasing approval or holding on to spaces where she wasn't respected. At every stage of her career, she carried herself with dignity, even in the face of rejection or doubt. When doors closed, she didn't stand outside begging for entry. She walked away and created her own opportunities. That is the essence of strength. Knowing that walking away doesn't mean defeat. It means choosing yourself over someone or something that doesn't align with your worth. In relationships, dignity is the line between love and desperation. When you stay where you are not valued, you teach the other person that they can continue to disrespect you without consequence. But when you walk away, you send a message that echoes louder than anything you could say. "I refuse to be treated less than I deserve." That moment of walking away often shakes a person more than all the years of sacrifice you gave, because it forces them to confront the reality of losing you. There is a unique kind of power in being able to walk away gracefully. No drama, no begging, no clinging, just calm certainty in your value. That calmness unsettles those who took you for granted because they expected you to stay no matter what. They expected your forgiveness, your patience, your unconditional availability. But when you step back with dignity, you break that pattern. You show them that your love was never a weakness, it was a choice. And once that choice is withdrawn, they begin to realize the true cost of losing you. Walking away with dignity also protects your own spirit. Staying where you are disrespected drains your energy, erodes your confidence, and makes you forget who you are. But the moment you choose to leave, you reclaim your power. You remind yourself that your peace is more important than their validation. You give yourself the chance to heal, to grow, and to attract someone who sees your worth without needing to lose it first. Dignity is not just about what you show to others, it is about the love you show yourself. This choice also transforms the pain of rejection. Instead of seeing rejection as proof that you were not good enough, you begin to see it as protection. Protection from wasting your life on someone incapable of loving you the way you deserve. By walking away, you turn rejection into redirection, guiding yourself toward greater things. The pain of letting go becomes the doorway to the strength of starting again, stronger and wiser. Priyanka Chopra has often spoken about not being afraid of change, not being afraid of walking into the unknown. That same principle applies here. Walking away with dignity means trusting that life will reward your courage. It means believing that by letting go of what does not honor you, you create space for what truly will. It is a declaration to yourself and the world. I choose respect over desperation. I choose peace over chaos. And I choose myself over anyone who cannot see my value. Absence is one of the most powerful teachers in life. It is often when something is no longer present that its true value is revealed. People can take for granted what is consistently available, assuming it will always remain within reach. But the moment it disappears, the void it leaves behind forces a person to recognize what they have lost. This is why absence creates impact, because it shifts the perspective from comfort to regret, from entitlement to realization. In relationships, this truth is undeniable. As long as you are there, forgiving, giving, showing up and pouring yourself into someone, they may begin to see your love as ordinary. They may even assume it is endless, that no matter what they do, you will still be there. But the moment you step away, the silence becomes deafening. The absence of your presence, your laughter, your energy, your support, becomes a weight they cannot ignore. Suddenly, what they overlooked feels irreplaceable. This is when your worth becomes undeniable, not because you proved it with words, but because you removed yourself and let the void speak for you. Priyanka Chopra's career reflects this idea in a different light. When she chose to expand beyond Bollywood and step into Hollywood, she removed herself from the comfort of being endlessly available to one industry. Her absence created space for new appreciation. People began to realize what she brought to the table only when she wasn't as easily accessible. The same principle applies in love and relationships. Sometimes stepping away is the loudest statement you can make. Absence carries a weight that presence sometimes cannot. When you are always around, your energy can blend into the background. When you are missing, it creates a sharp contrast that makes people reflect. Think about it. People rarely value fresh air until they are gasping for it. They rarely value water until they are thirsty. They rarely value love until it is no longer being given. This is not because your love wasn't powerful while you were present. It's because absence has a way of awakening people to truths they ignored. The impact of absence also comes from mystery. When you are no longer there to explain yourself, defend yourself, or prove yourself, you create space for imagination. The other person begins to wonder where you are, what you are doing, who you are becoming. That curiosity creates respect, because they no longer have the comfort of constant access. In that distance, they are left with their own thoughts, their own regrets, their own recognition of what they lost. Absence forces them to replay memories, to remember the little things they once overlooked, and to realize how deeply your presence shaped their life. This does not mean absence is a manipulation. It is not about playing games or pretending to leave in order to create a reaction. True impact comes when you genuinely choose to step away for the sake of your own dignity and growth. When you stop being available because you respect yourself enough not to stay where you are undervalued, your absence becomes authentic. That authenticity is what makes it powerful. The other person will feel it, not as a trick, but as a real loss. Absence also teaches you. It gives you the perspective you could never have gained while standing in the same place. When you step back, you see clearly who valued you and who only used your presence for their convenience. You recognize patterns that were invisible while you were emotionally involved. In this way, absence not only makes them realize your worth, it also allows you to see your own worth more clearly. Sometimes distance is necessary for both sides to wake up to the truth. When someone feels the impact of your absence, they begin to realize that love is not guaranteed. They begin to understand that they cannot take for granted what they once thought was endless. That realization is painful because it forces them to confront their own choices. It makes them see that they could have cherished you, but instead they lost you. And the more they remember what your presence gave them, the more the absence burns. This is the pain of regret, and it is one of the most powerful reminders of value. Absence also rebalances power. As long as you are chasing, proving, or begging, the balance is against you. But when you step away, when you no longer feed into the cycle of giving without receiving, you shift the energy. Suddenly they are the one left reflecting, missing, longing. That shift happens not because you tried to hurt them, but because you finally chose to honor yourself. And in doing so, you allowed absence to do what words never could. Priyanka Chopra's message of self-worth and independence mirrors this truth. She has often spoken about not fitting into anyone else's mold, not staying where she isn't respected, and always moving forward with courage. Her journey shows that when you step away from spaces that don't value you, your absence becomes your strength. You stop explaining yourself and instead let the silence reveal your importance. In love, this principle is a reminder that you don't have to fight endlessly to prove your value. Sometimes the most powerful statement is your absence. When you no longer answer the phone, no longer show up, no longer pour your energy into someone who refused to cherish it, they will feel the emptiness you leave behind. That absence will echo louder than anything you could have said while you were present, and in that echo, your worth will finally be undeniable. Heartbreak can feel like a storm that leaves you shattered in pieces, unsure of how to rebuild yourself. It is heavy, it is painful, and it can strip you of your sense of worth if you let it. But within that storm also lies one of the greatest opportunities for transformation. Self-growth after heartbreak is not just about moving on. It is about rising higher, becoming stronger, and turning your pain into a source of power. Every wound carries a lesson, every tear holds wisdom, and every ending has within it the seed of a new beginning. When someone walks out of your life or when a relationship ends, it feels as if you have lost a part of yourself. But what you have really lost is the version of you that was tied to that person. What remains is the chance to rediscover who you are without them. Heartbreak has the ability to strip away illusions, to remove the masks you wore to please someone else, and to force you to face yourself in your rawest form. That confrontation with your true self is uncomfortable, but it is also the foundation of real growth. Priyanka Chopra's journey has shown that setbacks can be stepping stones. She faced rejection in her career, criticism from media, and personal challenges that could have broken her spirit. Yet instead of letting them define her, she used them to fuel her rise. That is what growth after heartbreak demands, the ability to look at pain and say, "This will not destroy me, this will rebuild me." You take the weight of your heartbreak and use it as resistance training for your soul, strengthening your inner muscles of resilience, confidence, and clarity. Self-growth after heartbreak means refusing to let someone else's decision determine your future. If someone could not see your value, that does not mean you are not valuable. If someone chose to walk away, that does not mean you are unworthy of love. It means their role in your story ended, and it is time to write the next chapter yourself. This is where growth begins, when you shift the focus from them to you, from what you lost to what you can build. The first step in that transformation is reclaiming your identity. During a relationship, it is easy to merge into someone else's world, to adjust your dreams and to compromise your needs. Heartbreak is the wake-up call that reminds you to return to yourself. Who are you when you are not defined by someone else's presence? What passions have you neglected? What strengths have you forgotten? These are the questions heartbreak pushes you to answer. In rediscovering those answers, you begin to rise stronger than ever. Pain can also become your greatest teacher. Heartbreak teaches you boundaries, where you gave too much, where you ignored red flags, where you accepted less than you deserved. Instead of drowning in regret, you can turn those lessons into tools for your future. You learn not to settle, not to ignore your own needs, and not to confuse love with sacrifice. Growth means transforming your mistakes into wisdom, and your wounds into sources of strength. Self-growth also comes from resilience. When you survive heartbreak, you realize that what you thought would destroy you did not. You realize that your heart can break and still beat, that your spirit can bend and still rise. That realization becomes a foundation of unshakable confidence. If you can survive heartbreak, you can survive almost anything. It toughens you, not in a way that makes you hard and cold, but in a way that makes you stronger and wiser. You stop fearing loss because you know you can rebuild yourself again and again. Priyanka Chopra once said that you should never let failure define you but let it refine you. That is the essence of self-growth after heartbreak. Failure in love does not mean failure in life. It refines your understanding of what love really is, what you truly want, and what you will never accept again. Every broken piece of your heart becomes a sharper edge that cuts through illusions and protects you from future mistakes. Growth after heartbreak also involves learning to love yourself in ways you never did before. Instead of seeking validation from someone else, you begin to find it within. You realize that your worth is not dependent on being chosen by another, but on choosing yourself every single day. You build routines that nurture your body, your mind, and your spirit. You invest in your passions, your career, your dreams. In that process, you stop waiting for someone to complete you because you are already whole. The beauty of growth after heartbreak is that it transforms you into someone unrecognizable to your past self. You become stronger, wiser, more independent, and more radiant. And ironically, that transformation is often what makes the person who lost you realize what they gave up. But the point of growth is not to make them regret. It is to make you proud of the person you became in spite of the pain. The truth is, heartbreak can either break you or build you. The choice is yours. You can choose to stay stuck in sorrow, or you can choose to rise. You can choose to define yourself by rejection, or you can choose to define yourself by resilience. When you choose growth, you become unstoppable. You turn heartbreak into your rebirth.
You stop being the person who was left behind and become the person who walks boldly forward. Pain is inevitable, but transformation is optional. Heartbreak gives you the raw material to rebuild yourself into something greater, but you must decide to use it. Every sleepless night, every tear, every unanswered question, those are the bricks with which you can construct a stronger version of yourself. And once you rise from that, once you turn pain into power, you become untouchable. You become living proof that heartbreak was not your ending, but the beginning of the most powerful version of you.
Priyanka Chopra's story is living proof that choosing yourself always wins, no matter the circumstances, no matter the setbacks, no matter how loud the critics. From the very beginning of her career, she faced obstacles that could have made her shrink, moments where doubt could have kept her small, and rejection that could have silenced her. But she refused to let anyone else write her story. Every time she was told she wasn't good enough, she chose herself. Every time she was pushed into a box, she broke free and walked her own path. And in doing so, she built a life that millions look up to. Her success is not an accident. It is the result of consistently choosing her own worth over anyone else's approval. This lesson applies to every aspect of life, especially relationships. Too many people stay in situations where they are undervalued because they are afraid to be alone. Too many compromise their happiness just to hold on to someone who doesn't even see their worth. But Priyanka's journey reminds us that when you dare to choose yourself, when you stop waiting for validation from others, the world begins to respect you in ways you never imagined. Self-respect is magnetic. It commands attention. It forces people to recognize you, even when they once overlooked you. Choosing yourself doesn't mean arrogance, and it doesn't mean selfishness. It means knowing that your happiness, your peace, and your growth are too important to sacrifice for someone who refuses to treat you the way you deserve. It means walking away from what diminishes you and walking toward what empowers you. Priyanka could have stayed in her comfort zone, doing what was expected of her, but instead she chose to take risks, to step into unfamiliar worlds, and to believe in her ability to thrive. That choice brought her international recognition. Similarly, when you choose yourself in love, you stop settling for the bare minimum and begin demanding the love that matches your value. There is power in the decision to say, I am enough. When you truly believe that, you stop chasing people who fail to see it. You stop begging for attention, for scraps of affection, for validation that should come freely. Instead, you invest that energy into yourself, your passions, your goals, your dreams, and as you grow, you naturally attract people who see your light without needing you to dim it. Priyanka Chopra's rise to global success happened because she refused to dim her light for anyone. She embraced her uniqueness, and the world eventually celebrated it. That same principle applies to your relationships. When you choose yourself, the right people will celebrate you, not tolerate you. Every time you choose yourself, you send a message to the world. You tell people how to treat you. You set the standard for your relationships. If you stay where you are disrespected, you teach them that disrespect is acceptable. If you lower your worth, you show them they don't need to rise higher to meet you. But when you choose yourself, when you leave what does not honor you, you show that your value is non-negotiable. That decision may be painful at first, but it is the pain that leads to freedom. It is the kind of pain that builds strength, the kind of pain that transforms your life. Choosing yourself also shifts your perspective on loss. Instead of asking why someone left, you begin to ask why you tolerated less than you deserved for so long. You realize that their absence is not the tragedy you once thought it was. It is the opportunity for you to realign your life with your true worth. Priyanka Chopra's success teaches us that rejection is not the end, it is redirection. Every closed door pushed her toward a better one. In the same way, every heartbreak can push you closer to the life and love you truly deserve, but only if you choose yourself in the process. What makes choosing yourself so powerful is that it creates an energy no one can ignore. People are drawn to those who know their worth, who stand tall in their truth, who radiate confidence without needing external approval. That energy is unshakable because it is rooted in self-belief. Priyanka built her career not by asking the world to validate her, but by proving through her actions that she belonged. And over time, the world had no choice but to recognize her. The same happens in love. When you no longer beg to be seen, you force others to rise to the standard of your worth, or lose the chance to be in your life. It takes courage to choose yourself. It means risking loneliness, risking judgment, risking uncertainty, but that courage is the foundation of freedom. When you choose yourself, you are no longer trapped by the fear of losing someone else, because you know you will never lose yourself again. You stop living in scarcity and start living in abundance, because you understand that your worth is not tied to anyone else's recognition. You already carry everything you need within you. Priyanka Chopra's success is a mirror of this truth. She never allowed the opinions of others to decide her path. She chose herself, even when it was unpopular, even when it was risky, even when it was terrifying, and that choice built an empire. Your life may not be on a global stage, but the principle remains the same. Choosing yourself will always lead you toward a better future because it aligns you with people, opportunities, and experiences that honor your worth. So when you find yourself at a crossroads, when you are torn between holding on to someone who undervalues you or walking away to honor yourself, remember this: choosing yourself is never the wrong decision. It may hurt at first, but it will heal you in the long run. It will guide you to places where you are celebrated, not tolerated. It will help you build a life so fulfilling that anyone who once overlooked you will feel the weight of their mistake. Priyanka Chopra's success is not just about fame or fortune. It is about the courage to choose herself over and over again, no matter what life threw her way. And that is the lesson you must carry. When you choose yourself, you never lose, you only rise. Life will test you with rejection and heartbreak, but your greatest power lies in choosing yourself. Priyanka Chopra's journey reminds us that dignity, self-growth, and self-worth are stronger than any loss. The real pain of losing you comes when you walk away, not with anger, but with silence and self-respect. When you honor your value, you don't lose, you rise, and the world is forced to see your worth.